President Trump is down in the Florida Panhandle today for a campaign rally in Bay County, where Hurricane Michael flattened thousands of homes last October, and where the cleanup and rebuilding efforts are still ongoing. The Panhandle is Trump country, but this is the first time the president has been to the area since he visited right after the storm hit. And while he will be touring Tyndall Air Force Base, which was hit hard, he's not scheduled to visit any of the surrounding communities, all of which have people wondering if the guy they helped put in the White House has since forgotten about them.
Oh, they start immediately.
Yeah, they start immediately.
Shelley Summers and her husband started housing displaced families shortly after Hurricane Michael, which hit Bay County 7 months ago. Then they just kept on doing it.
How was this built out? I mean, it started with one tent.
Yep, it started with one tent right there. Over time, with just wherever I could clear a spot from the trees and the debris is where I would put a tent, because I was clearing them by hand.
Do you have any sense of how many tents there are at this point?
Probably over 20.
Shelley spent tens of thousands of dollars of her own money on the makeshift camp, and even built the infrastructure to support it. There are porta potties, an outdoor-ish shower.
Do you make this? It's like a little yurt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a shower.
Hundreds of feet of electrical cables. And the tents.
These were bought by one of our amazing individual donors. These are hard shell tents.
Oh, man. It's got to be like 20 degrees hotter inside.
It's about 110 in there. That's what it was yesterday.
How was someone able to sleep inside?
At night, thankfully, it's still cool. We're working on air conditioners for all of them now.
But there are also rules.
No drugs, no alcohol, no drama. Those are the 3 big things. And I do random drug testing. Really, it's easy. Everybody pitches in and helps with chores. They all love to feed my rabbits. So that's the only bickering that there usually is.
The rabbits everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's 100, or close to 100. I'm working towards 1,000.
What's the most people that you've hosted at a time?
50.
50 people in your backyard?
Yes.
You must hear a lot of stories.
They're all basically the same. Even though everybody has their own individual story, they all come down to the factor that they were left behind.
Hurricane Michael displaced almost 20,000 people in Bay County, or about 10% of its population. Charles Summers is one of the roughly 21,000 people across the entire Panhandle who received some kind of assistance from FEMA. The agency's given out more than $140 million in temporary hotel stays, rentals, and repairs. Charles got $3,000, which wasn't enough to find permanent housing.
How old are you, Charlie?
63.
So at 63, you experienced homelessness for the first time?
First time in my life. I've never been homeless. I've never stayed in a tent in my life.
So were you trying to find other places to live?
Oh, yes. But we couldn't afford it.
If this didn't exist, if you couldn't come here to Shelley's place, what would you have done?
Honestly, true about the situation, well, for her, I don't know exactly, pinpoint exactly what I'd have done.
60% of the housing stock in Bay County was destroyed in the storm, including several public housing complexes. That'd be a problem anywhere, but here, where 70% of people rent, it's been a disaster. Kathy McClellan, who's been a real estate broker for the past 15 years, barely has any rental properties to work with these days. And the units that are available are so price gouged, almost no one in the area can afford them.
What's the rental market like for those people here right now?
It's high. You can't afford it. I would say rental market prices, I would say at least 30%, maybe even 50%.
Higher than before the
storm? Yes.
Kathy's own home will be demolished, and she can't afford to move. So she's staying in a camper in her front yard.
This is an area where there are a lot of people who don't have a lot of money.
That's correct. We are economically kind of disadvantaged here. Our town is tourism. And so the folks that work in the tourism industry, they wait tables, they clean condos, they do beach services, they live, week to week, month to month. You know, we pay a lot of taxes and we need a lot of help and we're not getting it. It makes me mad because we shouldn't have to beg.
Greg Brudnicki, the mayor of Panama City, spent 3 days in Washington, D.C. last week doing just that. Because at the moment, he still can't afford to pick up everything that's on the ground.
Our debris bill for Panama City is going to be north of $150 million. Just the debris. So where does the money come from? The money has to come from the federal government. We're north of 200 days. And when we call on the phone, crickets.
Bay County is still waiting on a disaster relief bill that would allocate almost $1 billion to Florida. It's currently stuck in Congress because Trump and other Republicans are trying to limit the amount of money promised to Puerto Rico.
I feel for the Puerto Rican citizens, but we're all waiting because there's partisan politics going on.
How do you feel about President Trump coming to this area, coming to Panama City Beach, when the disaster relief aid bill has not been passed?
Well, you know, he was here right after the storm. He came, Pence came, Ben Carson came. So we've had a lot of people from Washington come here and put eyes on it.
Are you worried that you'll just end up going to a rally that doesn't acknowledge the devastation that still exists just over the bridge?
No. I think that's going to be a big part of why they're coming here. I mean, it's got to be.
While Brudnicki continues to give Trump the benefit of the doubt, 30 miles away at Shelley's, everyone's still operating under the assumption that no more federal aid will be coming anytime soon.
Yeah, it's time to eat.
You know what that is, don't you, buddy?
Making your plate, Junior. Just wait.
If Trump comes here and he doesn't visit this area, if he just goes to Panama City Beach,
I won't be surprised.
that's what you expect.
We're not important enough. We're not publicly known. We're not stars. We're not government. You know, we're just people.